Penn State 27, Nebraska 10. The Nittany Lions win on Senior Day at Beaver Stadium. That's Nate Bauer, Sean Fitz. I'm Greg Pickle from Blue White Illustrated. Sean, they all want Terry Smith to be the next head coach in this stadium and in this locker room. I probably should have thrown this to Nate, but I'll just ask you the performance overall tonight from Penn State. This is the Nebraska team that came in with 7 wins. I'm not terribly sure how they got to 7 wins based on what we saw tonight, but it was a 7-win team with a backup quarterback that looked like he was making his first start in a road environment, and Penn State suffocated him from start to finish.
Yeah, this is a pretty cathartic win on both sides of the ball for Penn State. You look at what the team was expected to do, what the team actually did, and then what the team did tonight. 3 very different things. And you know, it's got to feel good for Terry Smith, for those seniors in the locker room, because it was really just one of those stress. I don't want to call it stress-free because that's disingenuous to the guys that actually won the football game. But the fans in the stands by the fourth quarter, maybe even by the third quarter, feeling pretty good about themselves. And they're, you know, from a giant, just a macro standpoint, Penn State fans haven't had a ton to cheer like that for. So it was one of those things that makes everybody feel pretty good. And to be out of contention by midway through the third quarter, maybe even halftime, you know, you got to feel good if you're Terry Smith. Jim Knowles, I think, did another wonderful job. That defense has come a long way in the last couple of weeks, albeit too late. But at the same time, that's not the part to focus on right now.
Nate, they did chant Terry Smith's name over and over and over again, both at halftime, during the fourth quarter, and then as he exited the field. Players made an impassioned case in the media room for him to be the next head coach. Penn State, as we sit here now, is about 40 days removed from firing James Franklin. Could be obviously getting closer to the end of the regular season and finding their next guy. Your thoughts on this push for Terry amid where things stand in his coaching search as we get close to the end of the regular season?
It's complicated. It's complicated and got more complicated tonight, right? I mean, I do think that there's a very valid image of, right, like it was right in front of you. Matt Rule, Pat Kraft's like acknowledged very good friend, a guy who you know was kind of thought to be an early probable candidate in this thing. As soon as Pat fired James, that Matt Rule would immediately be part of that. Matt Rule and his team, which is wounded for sure, right, in terms of its quarterback play, just got demolished, right? I mean, they just got very, very, very well owned. And so the guy standing on this sideline, the Penn State sideline, can claim responsibility for that, right? To have taken this team from where it was as losers of 3 in a row, and yes, that extended to 6, right? I think we have to acknowledge that, but able to get them to continue to play through that, even when you know, things were just really, really bad and in a tailspin, for this Penn State team to fight through that, and then obviously win last week at Michigan State, and then come out tonight. Last game for like there's just so much that's involved and wrapped up in this game specifically. Kaytron Allen, Nick Singleton, the 2022 class. I asked Zane Durant about like whether they had any regrets about how the beginning of the season went. He's like, I don't carry regrets. It's all a learning lesson. But I mean, it's a big lesson. It's a big lesson for a lot of people. And now, you know, the future of Penn State football kind of rides on decisions that are made that I feel like are being influenced as we speak based on this stuff. It's just a matter of like how much can that influence possibly be when you compare it to the way Pat Kraft talked, the things that Pat Kraft said. He's only been available to the media once since dismissing James Franklin. I think it was fairly evident at that time that Terry Smith was not the direction that they were going for their next head coach. And now I think it's based on the response of fans, the response of players, the response of everybody, you know, whether or not that's what's going to happen.
We went probably, I don't know how far into this we are, but we mentioned Kaytron Allen, the new career rushing yards leader, rather, in Penn State history. Nick Singleton ties Saquon Barkley for most rushing touchdowns and career touchdowns. He'll likely break that at Rutgers next week. But, Sean, just your thoughts on watching those two for the last 4 years and what they've done, culminating with Kaytron breaking the record tonight.
I think first, you asked Terry a question. I don't want to go over time here talking about his answer to you, but what did Terry say to you when you asked him about something along these lines?
I don't remember. I think it was something about identity.
Identity. That's all it was. Was this team's identity and DNA is kind of what you hope to see coming out of the playoff last year. They retained Kaytron Allen. They retained retained Nick Singleton. They retained a bunch of those offensive linemen to go out and road grade opponents. They finally did that tonight. Of course, they did it last week against Michigan State, but a 7-win Nebraska team looks a little bit different than a 3-win Michigan State team. So they finally got to that. You're looking at two of the better backs in the program's history, in a great program that has run the football very, very well. You can split hairs at the top of that list, but Kaytron Allen proved that he is the guy that you could sort of attach your wagon to and go with that. And that's been really, really cool to watch over the last month of the season, where they have leaned on Kaytron Allen. And because of that, and this has been the entire offense right now, because Kaytron Allen gets going, Nick Singleton's able to get going. You throw a little screen, you give him a little space, and these guys start moving forward in the offensive line, and all of a sudden it works out for everyone. Ethan Grunkmeyer throws the ball down the field. Play action game works. That opens things up for those running backs as well. So it's been remarkable to see the evolution. I don't know that the plays being called, are that much different than we've seen throughout the season.
Don't say that. Come on.
I'm just telling you, the execution, you did not see receivers running like that earlier this year.
Right.
But I think you saw a similar playbook to which to draw from. There's only so many plays you can run. But Penn State executing them at a much higher level right now, and that is a big credit to the running backs, big credit to the offensive line. Those guys have been incredibly unselfish throughout their career. Typically, those guys come in, they're probably 3 and out, given the way that running backs' bodies are just churned in college football and then churned once again in the NFL. They decided to come back to risk. They risked a lot in doing so. And it's nice to see them get their moment. It's not what anybody planned, being a 5-6 team at this time in the calendar. But to go out like this makes you feel a lot better about where they stand.
Nate, final thoughts. We're into Rutgers week. Penn State will be trying to get bowl eligibility next Saturday in Piscataway. Your thoughts on just this game and Penn State moving forward into the final week of the regular season?
I'm just going to throw this completely off track. Mike Rhodes says something that I like about opponents making threes early in the game. Like that's the worst possible thing. You do not want your opponent to start making threes early, because whether they're good shooters or not, they're gonna keep making them, right? It gets harder to defend that. Penn State football, right, is I think objectively a good team now. Like right now, they're a good team who did not make any threes at the beginning of the season, right? Just for 6 weeks, just there was not anything, even in the non-conference game, about. And then with Terry, even at Iowa, right, there were bad things there. At Ohio State, there were bad things there. But against Indiana and in moments in those other 2 games, you start to see a team that was like actually executing some of the things and starting to feel good about itself. And now going to Rutgers, I mean, I picked a very close game tonight. Like, I don't know what you guys ended up with. I think that we all kind of. What a terrible person. But no, right? Is anybody going to pick against Penn State to go to Rutgers next week and win, right? And maybe even win handedly, based on the fact that they are playing well and they actually feel good about themselves, and that has power. I mean, it can be that. It can be an offensive line that's motivated to be a little bit better than they were earlier in the season. It can be Zane Durant acknowledging that they got caught up in what the expectations were, not being as self-critical as they had been even in prior seasons, right? That it just like I will, till the day I die, talk about this team this season, expecting to come into this season like wake up and it's the national championship game or the semifinal of the playoff, right? And it just wasn't. And so that is a hard lesson for them to learn. One for James Franklin that he had to learn, obviously his staff, but one that clearly lessons have been learned and they have taken something from that. And, I think it's serving them well here at the end of the year for whatever that's worth.
Yeah. Sean, final thoughts?
Yeah, I think there's a couple ways to take it. You can look at this as, an exhale. The shoulders are much lower for those players. There's a lot of smiles. There's a lot of feeling good about themselves, and that's great. Or you could take it with the where's that team been all season. I recommend the former. Like, I think that given where we're at in this season, given where we thought this team would be and where this team is now, feeling good about it is okay. And winning a game like this with an opponent that I thought would be tighter, just like you did. going from there and feeling good about this team is okay. It's not changing anything in the final standings or anything like that, but it was good to see them get out here. It was good to see, as Terry highlighted, their stars stepped up in the last couple of weeks. And this is a situation that, when James got fired and when everything is happening, you could look at these guys who came back for one big run, and I think some people would say, okay, maybe they just pack it in, try and figure out their draft status and move on. They haven't done that. Zane Durant was fantastic tonight. The 4th and 2 stop at the beginning of the game set the tone for the rest of the game. Really changed a lot of things. Denida Sutton has 4 sacks in the last 3 weeks. And they've really stepped up and made some plays. Even the guys that, the expectations were high for the transfer receivers. Guys made a couple plays tonight. Guys were open tonight. So you can feel good about where they're going out, where it goes from here, whether it be with Terry, whether it be with anyone else, where this roster is going to look like in 6 weeks, 8 weeks, who knows. But to get a little slice of this was a positive win and Penn State should feel good about themselves, I think you take that at this point in the season.
All right, that's Sean Fitz, Nate Bauer. I'm Greg Pickle from Blue White Illustrated. Happy early Thanksgiving. We'll be back with the BWI live shows this week. Penn State heads into Rutgers. You can join Blue White Illustrated. Follow the coaching search for $1 for the first 7 days, and we'll talk to you next time on YouTube or your favorite podcast feeds. Thanks for tuning in.